So now that we know a little bit about how our in-text citations go, what about our reference page? So at the very end, you should have a reference page that say references, and that's actually necessary for Turnitin. So sometimes it tries to exclude the reference section, which will hopefully actually show up as being similar to other people's reference sections. The reason for that is that there's a standard format that we use in APA to help us know more about it. So articles should always be alphabetically organized. And again, we start with that who, when, what was it, where did I find it? So that's still the same organization. So something that I really do want you to check on and make sure that this is in all of your papers is that every in-text citation you have at the top should have a reference at the bottom, and vice versa. So every reference should also have an in-text citation somewhere in there. And the reason for this is that I need to be able to see, hey, I have an in-text citation here, and then at the bottom I can find that reference. And this is also why it's really important for you to use the same format. Who starts it off, and then when. So it will always be the who and when, and that helps me to find that reference. So there's a bunch of helpful resources out there on doing APA formatting. OWL Purdue is great, and they have these great information guides about, like, well, what do I do if I don't have, it's a chapter of a book, for example, or I don't have a date. What do I do there? They're really good for figuring those different things out. We also have other places like library guides that are available for you. Something that you might want to consider is actually getting something to do your references for you. Zotero and Mendeley are two free reference managers. So if you're writing big papers, you can put them all in one place and it creates a reference page for you. You can also use things like Google Scholar to actually find the citations. So I would be remiss if I didn't talk about plagiarism in the context of APA formatting. And the reason for this is that the biggest reason why we're using APA formatting is to cut down on plagiarism, right? Giving credit where credit is due. But sometimes we have difficulty when we're actually trying to summarize something. So there is a big difference between what is copying and pasting and then summarizing things in your own words. And my goal is for you to use your own words, right? So something that I find to be really helpful is explaining an article verbally. You can actually make your computer or your phone, a lot of phones have apps that will do some transcribing for you. So that actually might be quite helpful for yourself to actually be able to summarize this in your own words and use that as your basis for your paper. So something we don't want to do is just copy sentence structure. So here's an example of an article about psychopathology, but it is better to subscribe to a multidimensional model that integrates multiple causes of psychopathology and affirms that each cause comes to affect other causes over time. Really easy to understand, right? So if I didn't understand this exact point that was being made, sometimes I'll do something like this. It is important, better, to support, a multidimensional model since it incorporates multiple causes of mental disorders, I know that, and how they each affect each other. So this is much, much, much too close. The sentence structure is basically the same, and all I've done is replaced words like psychopathology with mental disorders. This isn't my own words. I didn't write this, right? This is instead, I'm using their words in order to try to figure something out. But it's also very clear that I don't know what's going on if all I'm doing is plugging in new words. Instead, this is a better example, which is using my own words. It's not using the same sentence structure. Viewing mental disorders from a multidimensional model is more accurate than the unidimensional model, since it considers biological, psychological, and sociocultural causes of a disorder. This now tells me that I understand the prompt, I understand what this article or this quote was trying to get at, it is much better than just plugging in this quote into my paper as well. So something that you can do that I think is a little bit of fun. Try this yourself. Here is a very short couple of sentences from a article from Psych Today. What I want you to do is just number paper 1 to 11 and try to fill in the blanks. Illness can make us what? And uncomfortable because so fill in all of those blanks. At the very bottom in the notes is, so if you're in our paper, our notes actually have what the actual answers are. But what I want you to do is see how many of those are the same and how many are not. Hopefully you'll notice that, yeah, you didn't do so hot on this closed test. And there's a reason for that. It's because it's not your own words. So this is a closed test model. If you just remove the fifth word of every sentence, and if we did this with our own writing, we would be about 85% accurate of filling in the blanks. If we did this with somebody else's writing, now we're down to like about 60% accuracy. Some of it we get, but most of it we don't. And the reason for that is that we have our own writing style, we have our way that we talk about information. So if you find yourself thinking, oh, I think this is a little too close to somebody else's words, it might actually be true. So I do want you to use your own words. And the last little thing that I want to say is that you should read more than the abstract. Sometimes it's quite obvious when somebody has just read the abstract and they plug it into their paper. And that's because they don't understand exactly what's going on. So I really do want you to read more than the abstract and read the whole paper. I hope this was informative. Always come talk to me. Happy to talk about this.